to brush my hair before this. Oh well, I was wearing a hat. I have kind of hat hair. That's okay. You can't see online, but oh here, I'll show you. But we have a little lineup of, could you see this? Of bottles. I don't know why I thought I could show you that because I can't see where I'm pointing you. So we have a number of different bottles of tinctures here, because what we're going to look at is we're going to take the information that we had from last week. Marcos, hey, good to see you. On lemon balm, and we're going to start looking at herbal pairings. We're going to start the first kind of introduction to formulation. And this is important to start with, well, number one, because it's fun, but it also allows us to understand how we can start to tweak the actions of herbs, or the energetics of herbs, or the organ affinities of herbs, to direct it, to modify, or to amplify their effects. Hey, Ren. Oh, I did show the lineup. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so glad. Abahita. Oh, it's such a great topic, and it's really fascinating. I love doing this. Hi, Kelly. Hi. Because it's just fun. It's just fun. And as I'm so sorry, remind me of your name. Janice. I was remembering the J, and I was thinking Jessica, because there was also this Janice. As Janice was saying just now, it's sort of it's somewhat related to alchemy, in that when you're combining things together, you have that synergistic response, that 1 + 1 = 3, 1 + 1 = 4, 1 + 1 = Q. Maybe not that, certainly not with lemon balm, but I'm gonna pass around some lemon balm tincture. This is so when we say tincture, we want to remember that tincture means alcohol. So if you don't use alcohol, you can just pass it on by. We have some tinctures and some glycerites. Just to go over, I'm not going to go over lemon balm completely because I did that last week. So you can watch the video. Can I throw this to you? Oh. Yes. That's why we have labs. Will I touch it? So lemon balm, as we remember, is a lovely plant for calming and soothing, easing the nervous system, but is also uplifting. It is mood elevating. It is a plant that Gerard, a 16th century herbalist, said made the heart merry. It is a plant, we talked about its ability to both calm anxiety and calm stress, but increase mental alertness and mental clarity and focus. And we talked about its ability to repair and rebuild and restore health to neurological damage. So, hey, there's Teresa, hi. So given that, given those qualities, we're going to take those qualities of lemon balm and we're going to say, what happens if we pair lemon balm with another plant? What happens if we just combine two? Now in formulation, of course, we're pairing many. And what we want to remember is that plants are, of course, very complex chemically, right? There are hundreds and hundreds of compounds in plants. There are many that we don't even know. We haven't been able to identify, but many that we do know. So we know that plant chemistry is complex, and we know that by and large, certainly the plants that we use medicinally, those plants have this complex chemistry with 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 therapeutic compounds, the compounds that we name here in class, that we try to identify and say this is part of the medicine. Certainly doesn't apply, it's not the whole of the medicine, but it's part of the medicine of plants. And that differs from if we're looking at medications, pharmaceutical medications, where very specifically and very mindfully, it's an isolation of a single constituent, right? We have meadowsweet, which is a complex plant, many different compounds in it. One of the compounds in it is salicylic acid. We can isolate that salicylic acid, add an acetyl group to it, make acetyl salicylic acid, which is aspirin, and now we have a compound that has a stronger therapeutic effect. We can get a more a more concentrated effect there, but we've also separated it from that complex chemistry of meadowsweet, where meadowsweet protects the gut. We use meadowsweet for healing of the gut lining, and the isolated salicylic acid can damage the gut lining because we've taken it out of context, right? So there's there's one side of the complex chemistry equation, is that isolation of a single constituent, and when we do that, we kind of throw off that chemistry, and we can have side effects, and we can have increased and unlooked for effects. The other side of that is when we look at an herbal formula and there are 30 different herbs in there. You see these formulas where they just keep on going. There's herb after herb after herb. And with that, we're kind of looking at a different thing. When we add two herbs together, right, we are diluting the effects of that single plant because we're bringing in the chemistry of another plant. Now we have double the complexity, maybe even triple, depending on the plant. We have incredible complexity, and we made it even more complex. And that can be really lovely. As we were saying, it can be synergistic. We can have an increase in therapeutic effects, or we can modify them, we can adjust them, and that can be really lovely. But when we start to add more and more and more, we're weakening the formula more and more and more. We're weakening the effects of each single plant. So there comes a point at which there's that synergistic effect of combining, and at a certain point, there is not any returns, because the dilution comes to a point where it's like, really, are you getting any significant amount of the plant that you were looking for? So the lovely thing is when you can meet a single plant, and you're looking at the needs of your body and the gifts of that plant, and you're like, check. I'm just a person who really needs a lemon balm right now, because all of the virtues of that plant align with all of the needs of my body. And that's really elegant when that can happen, when you have a single plant. Hi, come on in. When you have a single plant that you can target. But generally not. Generally, you're looking at the effect of a plant, and you're thinking, this is pretty close to, grab a chair. We also have those, a high chair over there. Generally, we have that plant, it's like, it's close. It's almost what I need it to do, but something is off. It isn't perfectly where I need it to be. And so we formulate, so we're combining together. So it's really much easier to see how we can alter those when we do pairings, when we have just two of them. We can really see how fun and how easy it is to adjust and alter those. And then certainly formulation is an extension of this. So we're talking about lemon balm, and here is lemon balm tincture, if you'd like to, because that would go yummy. Just to get a little taste of the lemon balm there. So the first plant that we're going to formulate with is gotu kola. Now, if we think of gotu kola, I'm not going to go into each one of these herbs in depth. We're just going to kind of go through some of the primary aspects of the plant. There you go. So lemon balm is very calming and uplifting and kind of happy making, and increases mental clarity but calms the body. It's a lovely little plant. That's the base that we're working with. And then we're looking at how do we tweak that with other plants. That's what you've just walked into. So if we take that lemon balm and we combine it with gotu kola, well, gotu kola is a plant from the Ayurvedic tradition, and gotu kola has an affinity for the brain, for the mind, for mental alertness and mental clarity, for long-term increasing the health and the strength of the brain. And it is what's called a medya rasayana in Ayurvedic medicine. A rasayana is a plant that is nourishing and balancing to all body types, irrespective of the constitutional differences that all of us have. It's like, nope, this is just good for you, just take it. It's good for you, right? That's a rasayana plant. A medya rasayana is a plant that is good for all variances in mental functioning, in mental health. It's like, you got a brain, you got have a nervous system, this is a plant that is good for you. videos flipped. Oh, look, thank you. That was a very good backwards writing of Gotukola, Marcos. I forgot that. Yeah, for some reason, it just last week, Teresa told me it just started flipping. I didn't do anything. It just started to flip, and I don't know how to fix that. And I meant to look it up before this week, and I forgot. So I'm sorry. I won't rely on the board all that much, so we don't have alok utog for the folks online. So Gotukola is one of my favorite plants for helping with people who need mental clarity and focus, who just want that nourishment and strengthening of the nervous system. It also has a nice little side benefit as being a great dermatological plant for support of pretty much any skin problem. But we're looking at it today specifically for that brain function. So when we're combining a plant that has a specific affinity to an organ or a system, here Gotukola's affinity is for the brain and for the nervous system. So that's a plant that is like going to that area. When we combine a plant with a specific organ affinity with another plant, now we have a sort of a carrier, a driver of that. So Gotukola plus lemon balm, I'm not going to write on there because it's going to be backwards. Gotukola plus lemon balm is a formula where the lemon balm would have an even stronger affinity for that brain, where we're looking at a combination that's going to be really nice for people who have maybe a brain that is like overactive, right? As ADD, ADHD would be really, really lovely with this because of lemon balm's ability to kind of quiet and soothe, but not sedate, and increase focus and clarity, and Gotukola's ability to increase focus and clarity. Lemon balm all by itself for some people is a little bit more sedating, and by combining it with Gotukola, we're reducing that tendencies towards sedation, but we're increasing that clarity part of it, right? So that's a really nice combination that we can consider. Tuko and Kitty, hey, good to see you. All right, so that is one type of a formulation blend that we can do, is that affinity with an organ or a system. So the next pairing that we have is linden. And linden is just a delightful plant also for the nervous system. So this is a plant, lemon balm is a nervine. A nervine is a plant that supports the nervous system, calming and soothing and uplifting to the nervous system. Linden is also calming and soothing and supportive to the nervous system. But linden has an affinity for the heart. And so it's really nice when anxiety, hits here, right? For some people, anxiety is going to hit more in the gut. For some people, it's very much the nervous system. For some people, they really feel it in the heart, right? That's just where they feel it in the chest and the heart. And so linden is really beautiful for that. Linden smells and tastes like honey. And so it's a delightful flavor. It's a delightful fragrance. The lemon balm is a delightful flavor and a delightful fragrance. So the combination of lemon balm and linden is beautiful. And it's so lovely for people who have, anxiety where there's heart palpitations, anxiety where you just feel that tightness and tension in the heart. Linden is also very moistening, and so it's good for people who have maybe a constitutional change. So here's another reason for combining. So we can combine to direct towards a system or an organ, but we can also combine to modify an energetic pattern. Good for AFib too, absolutely good for AFib, yeah. The combination there, the duo there, would be linden and motherwort, which I didn't bring today because I thought about it, but motherwort is bitter. It doesn't taste good, and I wanted y'all to have yummy tasting stuff. But yes, good for AFib too. So linden is moistening, so it's very good for those bodies that are constitutionally very dry. We can add some linden to a formula, and that's going to help to modify the energetic pattern. Lemon balm is a little bit drying. It is most plants are drying. This one has a little bit of glycerin in it. You may have tasted a little bit of sweetness in it. Let's talk about why that glycerin is in there, actually, because that's a really good, just a little bit of a side path, but an important one. So when I have a plant like lemon balm, it's a great example of this, that has a high amount of tannins in it. All of the mint family plants generally have a pretty good amount of tannins, a reliable amount of tannins. And if you extract them for a long time, you can get a pretty strong amount of tannins. And what we remember about tannins is they're grabby. We talk about this a lot, the chemistry of tannins. Tannins like to grab onto things, and that the presence of tannins is one of the primary problems with herbal formulation. People are always asking, what are there interactions that happen when you combine herbs together? Because we tend to think of drugs interacting and medications interacting. The complexity is built into plant materials. When we're combining plants, it's less of a problem than when we combine medications, but there certainly are some interactions. The number one interaction when you combine plants is tannins grabbing onto stuff, right? Because they're going to grab onto stuff and make it inert. Tannins grab onto minerals, they grab onto alkaloids, they grab onto proteins, but it's the minerals and the alkaloids that they grab onto, some polysaccharides, and drop out of solution. Now you don't have the chemistry that you thought was there. So the way to block that is you add glycerin to a formula. Glycerin blocks tannins' ability to grab onto stuff. Tannins grab onto glycerin, sort of makes them happy. So in our lemon balm, I just add glycerin to that because I know I'm going to be mixing that lemon balm with something else. And I don't want to have to remember to throw the glycerin in there. So when I have plants that have a high amount of tannins, oftentimes I will add a little bit of glycerin in there. And so this lemon balm, now we're combining with all of these different formulas. We don't have to worry if we're combining lemon balm with, let's take California poppy as the next plant that we're using. No, this is for everyone, Rainbow. Yeah. We're all students, right? We're all students, so welcome. So if we combine with California poppy, so here, linden is a nervine, a calming plant for the nervous system. Lemon balm is a nervine, a calming plant for the nervous system. So we saw the kind of combination you get from lemon balm and linden. That would be for anxiety, for stuff that kind of felt right here, right? Combining lemon balm and California poppy is a very different effect. They're two nervines that we're combining together, but California poppy is a much stronger sedative. It's one of my favorite plants for sleeping. It's also one of my favorite plants for nerve pain. So here's actually two different ways that we can combine lemon balm and California poppy together. Number one, if you want something for sleep, for insomnia. Now, if we think of lemon balm's benefits for anxiety, for depression, we can see that someone in a deep depressive state, sometimes you're so depressed that you can't sleep, right? You're so debilitated, you can't even mount the vitality to go to sleep. And so the combination of lemon balm and California poppy, you have that California poppy that's just gonna really sedate you, quiet everything down. It's really good at quieting specifically the nerves, but also the musculature. And then you have that lemon balm that's just sweet and lovely and uplifting and helping with the other part of that, with the anxiety, with depression. So that's one part of it. The other thing is the pain relieving aspect of, the pain relieving aspect of the California poppy. California poppy is a pain reliever, really good for nerve pain. Lemon balm is a plant that is really beneficial. We talked about this last week in the lemon balm class. Lemon balm is one of the plants that we use for herpes simplex family viruses, right? And if we think of shingles being a herpes simplex family virus that lives in the nerves, right, that goes along the nerves. We have the lesions that come along that pathway of the nervous system when shingles erupt. And even after shingles subside, there is that post-herpetic neuralgia, the nerve pain that persists after that. any sort of nerve pain, but particularly this one, because lemon balm is specific against the herpes simplex family of viruses. So it helps to kind of bring it back into its dormant state, because that family of viruses like hangs around in our bodies. So the most we can do is just kind of shut it down. And then the California poppy tincture would be really helpful at that specific pain of the nerves, all right? This would also be another way that we could combine it would be lemon balm and St. John's wort. For the same reason, the St. John's wort would be helpful for the nerve pain, but it wouldn't be sedating. Okay. I didn't bring St. John's wort because that was highly specific and I figured we didn't really need that today. But now the thing about the California poppy, with the lemon balm, the chemistry of California poppy, the primary compounds are papaverine alkaloids. Alkaloids are one of the compounds that's bound by tannins. So if we combined lemon balm with California poppy and we didn't have the glycerin in there, then what would happen is over time, say that this is the combination of the lemon balm and the California poppy, we have this clear tincture. But over time, over a week or so, we would start to see an accumulation of sediment down at the bottom. It's called precipitation. Precipitate because it has been precipitated, it's been taken out of solution by the presence of the tannins in the lemon balm because we combined two herbs together, and this is the primary chemical interaction that happens in herbs, is the binding of stuff by tannins. California poppy alkaloids are the primary medicine of California poppy, and if we threw in the lemon balm without the glycerin, then the tannins would grab onto those alkaloids and they drop down to the bottom of the jar, and we'd have a little layer of sludge down the bottom of the jar. That would be the alkaloids that have fallen out of solution or have precipitated, think of precipitation like rain, precipitated out. But that's not going to happen because we put glycerin in our lemon balm. So yeah, we can combine these together and that's going to be fine. But that's exactly why we throw the glycerin in there. So lemon balm, California poppy for stronger sedation if there's maybe an effect of anxiety or depression, or for specifically directing that pain relieving effect towards nerves. Could you use those separately but together? Yeah, absolutely. And that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it, Tuco, is that, yeah, if you don't want to combine them together, then yeah, you just take one and then you take the other. It's less of an interaction. I mean, I wouldn't take them at the same time, right? Because if those tannins are still in the gut, they're still going to be grabby. That's one of the reasons why we use, if we take a medication, medications are often alkaloidal. And so the poison control centers will say if you take an overdose of a medication, one of the things that they recommend is to drink a very strong cup of black tea. And the reason for that is because black tea has a lot of tannins. And if those meds are in the stomach still, if they haven't been absorbed, then the presence of those tannins is going to grab onto, bind those alkaloidal compounds and make them unable to enter into the bloodstream. You're going to poop them out. Right. Yeah, so you don't want to have them in the gut at the same time. So you could take them separately, but together, but divided in dosing, which is one of the primary ways that we change interactions with medications too, right? Timing is everything. How much glycerin do you add to your lemon balm tincture? So I add 10% glycerin. That's 10% of your total volume. So if you're making a 750 milliliter quart size bottle of tincture, you'd add 75 mils or like 2.5 ounces of glycerin to that. And that's kind of standard for binding of tannins. And that's not going to be exact because there's not exactly 10% binding of tannins in plants. The variation is going to be huge, but that makes us happy. That makes us feel better. Makes us feel like we're doing something. You could certainly add more if you wanted to. Okay, so let's see. So we have lemon balm and catnip. Here's another nervine. Catnip is a member of the mint family, like lemon balm. And so again, it's a plant that is calming and soothing to the nervous system. We're going to have an additive effect of the lemon balm and catnip there. But catnip has an affinity to the gut, to the stomach. So it's very, very good for upset stomach, for nausea, for gas, bloating, cramping, really good for cramping. So if there is, so we were talking about how anxiety can sometimes be felt in the heart more, or in the chest. Sometimes anxiety can be felt in the gut more, right? When they get hit, it hits them right here. So combining a nervine with a gut affinity really helps with that. Catnip is really wonderful for anxiety that hits the gut. Lemon balm is really wonderful for anxiety. It's kind of uplifting and soothing and aromatic and beautiful. So the combination of lemon balm and catnip just is a really nice formula specifically for that. About the glycerin, can you mix it initially as part of the menstruum? I do. I throw it in as part of the menstruum. It doesn't really need to be free. It doesn't need to be available as a solvent. It just needs to be there as more of a barrier, really. Bradley, what is it about Schizandra berries that you said? That's a bit of a non sequitur there. Though I love Schizandra berries. Oh, are you saying what would happen if we combine lemon balm with Schizandra berries? We can talk about that. Let's see. So yeah, catnip for the gut. Chamomile, I brought in a lot of nervines here. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, it makes sense. I just went through my tinctures and I was like, who plays well with lemon balm, and just grabbed a whole bunch of these, and very nice, that works well. Okay, so the next one we have is chamomile glycerite. Now this one I can send. I was gonna be sending all of these around to y'all to taste, but then I realized if I'm giving you all these strong sedatives to taste, then by the time you leave here, yeah, so maybe not. But this one I will, because this is chamomile glycerite, and this is just delightful, and I love this. So, a little bit of chamomile won't be too bad for you. So chamomile, and I love the flavor of chamomile glycerite. It's just so good. So chamomile is a plant that I really love for the toddler in us. We all have toddler times when we haven't had a nap and we haven't had a snack, and stuff is just happening that we're not happy about, and maybe we don't have any power about it, but it's just pissing us off, and all we want to do is throw ourselves on the ground and kick our feet and cry. That is when we want chamomile. Chamomile is so lovely for that. Chamomile says, I know life is really, really hard, and it's really hard to just be okay with it, and I'm not entirely sure you should be okay with it, so I'm just gonna like hug you and hold you and go, yeah, it's really, really rough. That is chamomile's medicine. So the combination of chamomile and lemon balm is also medicine for children. Lemon balm is one of my favorite medicine for children because it's so lovely and uplifting and calming and soothing, and it tastes good. So the combination of lemon balm and chamomile, I just feel like that is one of those synergistic things that Jessica was saying, you know, that combination, that 1 + 1 is 3, lemon balm and chamomile for really when your inner toddler is just completely freaked out. It's just a lovely, lovely combination for when the world is just too much. And it's hard when you are at this level of vigilance. Again, thinking of that inner toddler who's freaked out and thrown themselves on the ground. It's hard just to stop being freaked out. You can't just say, okay, I really shouldn't be freaked out, I'm just calm down. You've just jacked up your nervous system, and it is hard to do that. It's even hard for adults. That's the virtue of herbs, is herbs can go in and say, oh, this is how to quiet your musculature. This is how to quiet your nervous system. This is how to quiet your gut. This is how to quiet your heart. We're just quieting everything down. Did you have a question?
Well, I was going to, a question after this, but probably also good for like a teenager going through puberty, that combination.
So good for a teenager going through puberty. Yes, absolutely. Because the same thing, it's just buffeting you back and forth. And you're like, what is all of this? I don't even know. Yeah.
But my question, chamomile, when is it blue?
When is it blue? It's blue after distillation. So German chamomile, which is the chamomile that we use internally, Not the Roman chamomile won't turn blue, but the German chamomile will. So after it goes through distillation, the essential oil turns blue because there's an artifact of distillation called chemagiline that is created on distillation.
Okay.
And so,
That's
yeah,
the only time it's blue.
that's the only time it's blue. That is generally the only time it's blue. I've actually had chemagiline containing not chamomile, but I did this with yarrow. I made a really strong cup of yarrow tea during a Monday morning class on yarrow. I had fresh yarrow, just harvested, strong cup of yarrow tea. We were talking about the difference between fresh and I made the tea, and I had to go somewhere after that. And so I left, and I just left this kind of thing of this beautiful golden yarrow tea. And I came back later, and it had turned this deep teal color.
Whoa, pretty.
Because there was yellow there, so it had changed. So the fresh, because the concentration of essential oil was so high in that, and the heat of the water had caused the chemical conversion to happen in the. I had never seen it before. I was taking pictures and posting them online saying, look what just happened to my yarrow. It was amazing. It's the only time that I've ever seen that happen, not in distillation.
Okay.
But yeah, that is. Lots of power lately. Yes, exactly, absolutely. Lots of that. Lots of feeling like a toddler, and you just want to scream. Yeah. So lemon balm and chamomile, and the lemon balm, because lemon balm does help with that clarity and focus and mental alertness. It helps us to kind of, while we are recovering from that, and while we're helping our body to step down that vigilance and say, yep, okay, we're just kind of bringing everything back down again, not shutting it down, but assisting us, helping our physical body to bring that down. Lemon balm is also helping to keep that, because we do have to keep straight, right? We have to keep thinking, we can't shut down completely, but that'll help us with our focus. Mimosa is our next one. So mimosa, so when you see the name mimosa, there's a lot of plants that are called mimosa. Some of them are weird little psychoactive plants that you see on the vaults of Arrowhead, which is a weird druggy website on the internet. The kind of, what will happen if I smoke banana peels discussions that happen on the internet. This mimosa that we're talking about is Albizia julibritsin. This is also known as the tree of happiness in Chinese herbalism. This is one of the primary plants a primary plant of Chinese herbalism. So we use mimosa, we use the bark and the flower combined. So tree of happiness, mimosa is a lovely plant for supporting mood. It is really just wonderful and gentle for when you're just needing a break from everything. Again, you just need a break from everything. Lots of needing a break from everything lately. It lifts the heart. It makes you happy. It is just an uplifting, happy, gentle. It's not a strong stimulant. It's not sedating, but it, I don't even know how it works. It is for, in Chinese herbalism, it is called, it's used for Shen disturbance. Shen is heart energy. And so this is for a disturbed heart. This is for grief. It is for concern, for worry. So it calms and soothes a disturbed heart, disturbed Shen. Ren, aren't you sweet? Did that just go black for you folks? It just went black. Oh, I'm glad that you get a break with us, Ren. So mimosa and lemon balm, then we have that combination. This is kind of not changing the organ system, but kind of modifying the effects. We're having more of an uplifting, happy-making effect rather than a sedating. Most of the other nervines that we've been working with have been to one degree or another sedating, calming and relaxing. And so the trajectory of most of those of taking chamomile or California poppy or catnip or linden along with the lemon balm is ultimately a quieting trajectory, a soothing, a sleepy trajectory. But mimosa is not. Mimosa is more uplifting, as is the gotu kola. So this is going to be something where if you do want that kind of uplifting effect. And then also uplifting, I just got, because this just sounded so beautiful, orange peel tincture. And I will send this around to you too, because orange peel tincture is so delicious. This is from our beautiful orange peels that we have in our apothecary. Oh, it's so delicious. And I love citrus for, again, for uplifting. Citrus, aromatics. Aromatic plants move. Aromatics rise up into the air, right? Aromatics are volatile. They move, they're not stagnant. They disperse energy and they move energy and they lift energy upwards. When we smell citrus, when we taste citrus, it is a happy-making flavor and effect. It increases alertness and mental acuity. And so the combination of lemon balm and orange peel is just a happy-making blend, an uplifting effect, but not, the orange peel doesn't have a direct effect on the nervous system outside of the effects that any aromatics have on the nervous system, right? So all of the other ones were specifically nervines. Even the mimosa is a nervine, it's just a more stimulating nervine. But orange peel isn't a nervine, but it still has kind of an effect on the nervous system because of those aromatics and because of its delightfulness. Feel it when I smell lemon. Exactly, we get that just immediately when you want just that uplift. It's such a simple thing to do, just to smell a citrus. So combining the orange peel with there. Now we can see, certainly, you may be thinking, as I would, well, I could do lemon balm with gotu kola, but what about lemon balm and gotu kola and mimosa and orange peel? Because all of those were all lifting and stimulating. Yes, that's next week when we'll go deeper into formulation, but we're just starting with the pairing right now so that we can see how these are moving around, right? So what I want you all to think about is what pair really kind of calls to you that you would like to make. I've got 15 ml bottles right here. So you can take a tincture here. So we have lemon balm tincture right here. So you can fill the bottle halfway with lemon balm. And for this, all of these are gentle and lovely and wonderful and nourishing and supportive. So I have some graduated cylinders if you want to be very, very precise and do 7.5 mils of each in there to be 15 mils. But you can also just kind of eyeball it and go, yeah, that's about half. And then if you want a little bit more, you can do more. And then think of which one from the orange peel. I'll turn the labels out to face you so you can see which one you would like to combine your lemon balm with. Any questions about that?
Just two. Just lemon balm.
Just two. Yeah, lemon balm and one other one. Yes. Just have to choose that other one. I didn't bring here, but I brought the thingy for Tulsi. Tulsi would also be a really good one. Of course, it would be, right? Tulsi for stress response. Tulsi is one of our aromatic adaptogens, so long-term restoration of the nervous system through regulation of stress response, regulation of that autonomic nervous system, but also the aromatic quality, so you get that uplifting, dispersing quality. And Tulsi is also very good at increasing mental clarity and focus. Tulsi is one of those plants we talked about last week. Remember, we had 4 plants in the Lamiaceae family that have a high amount of rosmarinic acid. Rosmarinic acid is the compound in these plants that helps to repair and rebuild damaged neuronal pathways associated with acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is the primary neurotransmitter associated with memory, mental alertness, the primary neurotransmitter that is affected by many forms of dementia. And those plants, rosemary and Tulsi and lemon balm and sage is the 4th one that has significantly high amounts of rosmarinic acid in them. So this, if you were to combine Tulsi and lemon balm, you have 2 high rosmarinic acid plants. So that would be really nice for someone maybe at the beginning of some senile dementia. where they just wanted a little bit of something for support and nourishment. So beautiful, so gentle, would taste really nice. Lemon balm and Tulsi, very safe. You can make a tea out of that. It wouldn't even need to be a tincture or glycerite. Just make a simple, gentle tea out of that and give it to your elders. Or if you're an elder who's like looking at, I mean, both of my mother's parents had dementia when they were 3 years older than I am right now. So I think of things like that and think luckily I've been thinking about that for a long time. So I've been like bumping up my neurotransmitter support protocols for about 15 years now because of that. But
So
yeah.
the difference then between like using Gotu Kola versus the Tulsi.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
great one. So Tulsi is aromatic.
Okay.
They are both adaptogenic. So yeah, great choice in choosing both of those because they are the two adaptogens here. So the difference is that Gotu Kola is more specifically about the brain and nervous system, increasing that. Tulsi is more about specifically the autonomic nervous system regulation, the fight or flight response, right? The hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, not the whole of the brain, but specifically that pathway. So it's a little bit more focused. Gotu Kola and Tulsi is a beautiful combination itself. For it's kind of one of my go-tos. Screw the lemon balm. Yeah, we don't even need a lemon balm. yeah, exactly. Yeah. That is the benefit of combos. It's so fun to see those nuances that happen and the possibilities that happen when you combine those together. They're just like people, right? You combine the people, your relationships are different. In people to people, my relationship with you is different than my relationship with my cat, is different than my relationship with Rakara, right? It's all different, as are the relationships between the two plants. And so when we get those going together, I want to hear about Julie's neurotransmitter protocols. Okay, Abhijit, I'll do my Julie's neurotransmitter protocols someday as a class, because yeah, well, because not only did both of my grandparents go through that, but I was a caregiver for my husband's mom at the end of her life for 4 years. And I saw this amazing woman slide into dementia, and it is horrifying. I lost one of my favorite authors, Terry Pratchett, had a really vicious form of dementia that took his brain from him, and it was one of the worst ways to go. It's just a vicious, horrible disease. And it's one of the things, I know, yay, happy discussion in Julie's class. But it's an important thing to think of. And certainly when you are younger, right, putting these protocols into play, being mindful that we want to give support to, whatever system. That's the system in my body that I'm most concerned with. Your system that you might be most concerned with might be your lungs or your gastrointestinal tract or, whatever. We want to be aware of those and just give those systems support early on so that you don't have to go in afterwards and try to fix it. Yeah. All right. Any questions about this? Any questions about any of this? Any questions about any of it from you? Wish you were here so that you could play with the tinctures with us, but you're far away and you can't.
What's the proper dose of the tinctures?
Dosage, such a great the class field. Okay. Okay. Dosages. Dosages are a whole different thing because we're led to assume that there are appropriate dosages and that we know what they are. I mean, there are appropriate dosages, but by and large, we don't know what they are because there's so many factors that affect what an optimal dosage is, right? It has to do with body weight and age and vitality and metabolic functioning and digestive capacity and the form of the herb and liver function and general sensitivity and there's so many factors involved. We're given messages of dosing all the time. Dominant culture is also always telling us that. This is true, by the way, for our medications too. We're taught that there are specific dosages of medications. There really aren't. There's so many variations. which is one of the reasons why medications taken at recommended dosages for recommended reasons by the doctors for the patients, medications taken exactly as prescribed are one of the primary causes of death in hospitals, right? It's so, all of that to say, I don't know what the optimal dosage will be for you, but I encourage you to play around with it. Generally in tinctures, most people start to do well with 1 or 2 droppers full. Some people are very sensitive, and some people take like 10 or 15 drops of tinctures. I can't see how that would be, that there would be any physiologically active amount in that small a dosage. But also some people are very, very sensitive. And also there's other things in herbs that we don't entirely know about. There is still mystery there that does cause it to be physiologically effective at even 1 and 2 drop dosages for some people. But where you're not going to get in something like that is like nourishment, right? So you also want to think about, why am I taking this? Am I taking it because I need nourishment? I need X amount of this constituent. Then you're going to need to take a significant amount of it in. But if you're looking for it for an effect on the gut, if you were taking the lemon balm and catnip effect for calming and soothing the digestion, however much it takes to soothe your digestion, and it might be 1 or 2 droppers, it might be a teaspoon, which would equal about 6 droppers. Right? It depends on what's going on with your digestion, how sensitive you are to the herbs, all of that. So play around, start with 1 or 2 droppers. Less than that, if you know, nope, generally anything that is recommended. I usually do really well at half the dosage. Most of us know that by the time we get to adult, we just have certain sensitivities. Or no, I need to be just hammered on the head with it. I need the full dosage, even more. I just know I tend to not respond with low dosages. I need a lot of something. So you want to take that into account too, right? But generally, these things are very safe, and so you can feel free to play around with these dosages, with these products, with these herbs, because they're just, you can drink the whole bottle, and all you do is probably want to go take a nap.
Okay.
And maybe get a little bit high from the alcohol.
How long does your body, I know it probably doesn't matter on everybody, but does it take for you to feel the effects, would you say?
Again, it depends. Some people like to hold tinctures underneath their tongue to get sublingual absorption through the oral mucosa into the bloodstream. I don't suggest generally that you do that with tinctures. Number one, because the high amount of alcohol tends to cauterize the tongue underneath there. It's kind of brutal on that delicate, sensitive tongue. If you'd like to do that, put it into water first and then sip it and hold the water there. But you also get buccal absorption. There's absorption through all of the oral mucosa. So you can just kind of put it in your mouth and kind of hold it in your mouth a little bit. But also tinctures are extracted. They're already ready to be rapidly absorbed. So even if you're swallowing them, they're really going to be very rapidly absorbed by the body. So I generally don't worry too much about that. Now, sometimes the effect can be felt right away if you're using something like that orange peel. Part of the effect of the orange peel were the aromatics, right? And so that was just immediately, as soon as you tasted it, you had those aromatics just right away. And those aromatics were able to go from your mouth right up into your sinus where that olfactory bulb dangles down, and they were able to go boom and right in and affect your nervous system right away. That's why aromatics have such a strong effect. So that one you probably felt right away, whereas something that did have to go through, gotu kola is unlikely to have that rapid effect. It's more of a complex chemistry, and it is going to take digestion and going into the bloodstream. And we're also looking at something that is slowly changing the functioning of a system instead of rapidly shifting it. And slow change of a system, changing kind of organic functioning, takes a while, so you'd want to take it for a period of time. So thinking of the gotu kola versus tulsi for mental focus, if you wanted it right away that day, I would take the tulsi. If you wanted it to persist maybe a little bit longer, I would take the gotu kola. Right? And really, I would just probably take all 3 of them. Or the tulsi gotu kola, to hell with the lemon balm. All right. So there you go, folks. I'm going to let you folks online go. Thanks for showing up. It's good to see you all. Thanks very much. So next week, we'll go a little bit more deep into formulation, and we'll talk about some of the some of the standard concepts in formulation, because formulation isn't just, well, now we'll just layer these around. We really do have some ideas, and there's different schools of thought on formulation. So we have some ideas that help us to kind of quantify how we formulate. So we will do that. Oh, I'm so glad that it was helpful for you to go. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you, Abahita. You are so welcome. I will see y'all next week, okay? Bye-bye.